Welcome back to the 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show. My name is Wayne Kimmel, managing partner of 76 Capital, the sports tech venture capital company. And on this show, I get the amazing opportunity to interview top sports entrepreneurs, athletes, and executives who are shaping and many times changing the overall sports industry. Today, my guest is Bryce Hollweg. Bryce oversees the everything at the Florida Panthers. He oversees the organization's arena operations, food and beverage services, live entertainment, the technology side, and the Panthers practice and recreational facility. He also oversees the War Memorial Auditorium revitalization in Fort Lauderdale. And I look forward to talking about all those things with Bryce on this show. So Bryce, welcome to our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show.
Thanks for having me, Wayne. This is exciting. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk to you. I mean, and this is such an amazing time to have this conversation as your Florida Panthers are the best team in the NHL today. That must be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the product on the ice and what Bill Zito and his team has done is truly amazing. You know, I got here almost exactly 3 years ago, previously working for the Vancouver Canucks and the Aquilini family, and which was a great opportunity for me. But, coming here with the role that I'm in and being able to ride the wave of a great hockey team and the success they've had has been pretty fun.
Well, I guess from a COO perspective and really overseeing all the operations and business side of the business, it's pretty good when your team's winning, right?
It definitely helps. The beer tastes a little colder, the hot dogs taste a little better. People's smiles on their face, coming in, leaving. It's definitely, in terms of creating an experience, definitely helps when the team's better. But, we look to create that experience whether they win or lose.
Well, you mentioned on that side, really the fans, right, who obviously are very happy and maybe they will have an extra beer or a hot dog or something like that. But from a business perspective, I'm sure also whether it's partnerships or other types of sponsorships that you're able to do, probably I'm assuming more people are interested in having conversations with you and your team.
Yeah, I mean, I do everything on the operations side, but I am not the sales guy. But with that said, of course, we're all involved and we wear several hats and we're having our executive huddles on the daily basis. And what our teams on the ticketing and sales side and the partnership side, is really telling an amazing story. Number one of the brand that we've grown here, and, the interest in hockey, partners wanting to be involved. We got a brand new naming rights partner, Amerant Bank, local regional bank here. The ball is just rolling and people want to be a part of it.
So as you said, down here in Florida, in the Fort Lauderdale area, a hockey team. I mean, at first that was like crazy, and then you guys proved it, and then you have teams in Phoenix and teams in Vegas now in these really warm areas, and it's just proving that not only can you have just the sport there, but you can have really good teams in these warm areas as well.
Yeah, and really, Bill Zito and our CEO, President Matt Caldwell, really coined the term destination franchise. So what does that mean? That means playing in an area, geographically that is, advantageous and, sun all year round. But, with a team and organization that invests in the players, invests in the team, invests in the organization, to really put a good product on the ice and the ultimate experience for fans. So, the word destination franchise is really, the golden standard and what we're really trying to reach.
And your role as COO at the Florida Panthers, I mean, you're the guy making that destination, right? I mean, you're making the physical pieces of all this and overseeing all those things. I mean, what has that been like over the last 3 years, and really the whole, just seeing the development that you guys have done in the South Florida area has been incredible.
Yeah, and I think that really starts with our ownership. The Viola family is so community focused, and it's really when they bought the team 10 years ago, they knew it wasn't going to be easy, and they have really taken the approach of one fan at a time. Investing in youth programs and youth hockey and getting kids on the ice, and involved, whether that's in schools, teaching floorball. Our community team is out and about 365. And that, it's really translated into what we're seeing now. Of course, again, having a good team and a good product on the ice certainly helps. But it's been years of that development in the community that has really gotten people to buy in, and create that fandom that we're now capitalizing on.
So, I wonder, from an operations perspective and an F&B side of the business, I mean, how do you decide? Well, let's just talk F&B first, right? Like, so how do you decide what you're gonna serve basically at the arenas?
Yeah, I'll preface this with, before I get into hospitality, which is a passion of mine. We are very unique in the sports industry that we do everything in house. A lot of teams and a lot of organizations, they'll third party, their F&B or their parking or you name it. We do from housekeeping to security to F&B to live entertainment. We do every single function in house, and that allows us to really have ultimate control and be nimble and agile. So, talking about F&B, sometimes if you have a third party operator doing a promo, changing menu items becomes a little bit more difficult with a little more red tape. We are able, owning that function to make changes overnight, whether that's with overall quality, menu items, size. I mean, you name it. Our programming, especially on the F&B side, is very nimble, very agile, and it makes it really fun.
So what are some of your favorite items on the menu?
Oh man, I'll tell you what, we got this, it's Chef Alvin. It's the carvery. It's a turkey stand. And, we got a great mix of items on the menu, and we're continuously looking at improving product and quality and such for the fans. But this guy, people wait in line for this guy's turkey sandwiches. He hand makes the cranberry sauce, and he truly thinks that people come to the game for him. And you know what? We'll let him believe that, because you know what? He's creating that experience that people line up for him every game. But we got things for kids. We got anything that you can imagine from normal concession fare, and then we put on a really good premium product too in our suites and our lounges as well.
So I got to go back to the turkey for a second. So so he slices down the turkey, makes it. Now, is his cranberry sauce sweet or is it a little tart? What's it?
It's a little bit of both, man. I mean, he carves that turkey. It probably, maybe at times too many slices. So someone's going to be getting a big sandwich here and there, but he has so much fun doing it, and the people literally line up for him, and it's a massive sandwich. So, when you're around here, that's the first thing you got to try.
I can't wait. Because being from around here, and it's kind of the home in the Delaware Valley area, the home of Capriati's, which is, it's one of their famous things, their turkey hoagie, that it's like a Thanksgiving turkey, and Wawa does something similar as well during certain times of the year. So I gotta check this out. Are there other types of items or drinks or things that are, Florida Panther specials that you put out there?
We lean in a bit. We have a huge, Latin American population here. So we do, have empanadas on the menu, and the Cuban sandwiches. We really try to have something for everyone, create that variety. So someone comes here for dinner rather than go and eat before, and they can enjoy it at the game.
So it's also part of your overall responsibilities as COO of the Florida Panthers. You talk about, there's obviously the game itself, but in the arena, what other types of entertainment do you look to bring to the fans? I mean, what's that overall fan experience that goes on inside of the arena during games?
Yeah, I think that fan experience, really starts at the ticket buying process. But other than that, it starts when they're coming in the gates for parking. So, we have the luxury of having a sizable lot here with multiple entrance points. So we're able to get cars in very, very quickly. Over the last couple of years, we've actually revised our plan to make that even easier. implemented prepay and things like that. And then, as they are walking up to the beautiful palm trees and the sun shining in the background, they're greeted right away with, we call it it's new this year. It's the Publix Plaza. So there's a tailgate going out right in our big tarmac, and a live band playing outside. They're able to enter the arena once doors open very easily. Ingress, we create multiple entry points, so that's never a bottleneck. And then once they're in the arena, then there's live music going on as well, either with a live band or DJs. They walking around, they're getting their foods and drinks, and the different areas that we've developed and created. One that stands out to me is the Jameson Crossbar. So we took a very underutilized area that was generating $0 in revenue. We're talking a couple thousand square feet. And we partnered with Jameson to make it a really, really cool bar / pub. And, it's really become a shining light of kind of the things that we're doing around here to improve the experience. So, of course, there's the in-game that, our game presentation team do a great job of keeping the fans involved and engaged. And, we upgraded our sound system as well just after the All-Star game last season. So, all these things play into the element of fan experience and why people like to come.
That's amazing. And so let's flip over to the player side a little bit, from an experience for the players at the arena, and also, the Panthers IceDen. And what's that like, and having to keep that, basically, at the highest level for your players, so that you can, you have the best team in the NHL right now. Hopefully you guys win a cup, but like, what are some of the things that you do to make their experience as a player even better?
Yeah. And really that goes back to the destination franchise. So I think I'll key in on the War Memorial, which is, and the Baptist Health Iceplex, which is the brand new facility. We're actually doing a ribbon cutting next week on March 20th, but it's open to the players. The players are in there with hockey operations. And when you're talking about a state-of-the-art facility that these guys want to be at and want to spend time at and want to train at, they have a state-of-the-art gym and sauna and steam room and medical rooms and everything that you can imagine to make their lives as easy and as comfortable as possible so that they can perform at peak levels. They're nutritionists, and again, I'm not involved on the hockey ops side, but what Bill and his team do with the medical staff and nutrition, and the team chef, and certainly the analytics team that he's built is pretty incredible. It's all about finding those little pieces, little inches that's gonna create an advantage for our players.
Well, certainly, I want to get into a little bit of your background, but I can't help to to notice the, sitting behind you, literally right behind you on the wall is your Army jersey from when you were the captain of the team playing at West Point. And I want to get into that, but at the same time, when you look at the facilities today that these, top NHL players have, what do you think about being, someone who was an elite player at the collegiate level? What would it meant for you to have these types of facilities?
I think about that. What if I had, the facilities that they do, and the other things that, who knows, I never would have made it to NHL. I'm realistic. But certainly, all the things that have gone and changed into the way that these guys train and what they focus on versus, when I was playing, years ago, it's all about maybe not so much as quantity, how many squats can you do? It was all about then. It's how you do, and it's all about the quality of the treatment that they're getting, and a lot of times it's not even in the weight room. It's the other things that they're doing. So, would I have loved to have it? Sure. Would I have made the NHL? No.
Well, you never know. You never know, Bryce. It's one of those things where we could all dream, but I'd love to take our listeners and viewers back to and share your story and where you grew up and how you made it to the to West Point and were able to play on their hockey team.
Yeah, I get a weird journey, man. So is yeah, that's my West Point diploma. So super proud of that. I hang that with a lot of pride. So born in Los Angeles, my mom was born in Vancouver, met my dad down in LA, and they decided to put my brother and I in the most unreasonable Southern California sport at the time, which was ice hockey. So my brother, who's 2 years older, he went in first, very active kid. So my mom's like, I got to burn some energy here. So she found the local rink in Norwalk, which had chain link fence and slanted ice and a cinder block wall. And that's where we grew up playing, looking back of how many kids and kids that played at elite levels came out of that little dinky rink is pretty impressive. But it came to the point where, we as a family decided that, there was no scouts going down to LA at that point, even though Gretzky was down there and growing the game. So we made the family decision to move up to Vancouver and continue with some prep school programming. And my brother had went first and played junior hockey. So that was kind of our journey up to Canada. I played, several years in the BCHL, probably too many years, but it was one of the best years of my life. If you know anything about junior hockey and junior hockey players, but my goal was number one, to play Division I hockey and then to get the best education I could. So, being recruited by, several different schools and, kind of had a plan of where I wanted to go. And then I get a letter in the mail from Army Hockey. And I had no idea what West Point was. I don't have a military background. Maybe I should have known, but I didn't. And I threw it in the trash. Because I had no clue what it was. And my mom found it in the trash can and she said, you might want to look at this one. So that was it. I flew down there, fell in love with, obviously what West Point means in terms of a leadership institution and the team and, the Riley family. I was recruited by Rob Riley and ended up playing for Brian, both of which I talk to till this day. And yeah, that was my journey to West Point. Never thought I'd be there. And you know what? I would do it over and over again. It was the best decision I've ever made in my life.
And so, as everyone knows, I mean, if you go to West Point, you have now time, you're going to, serve the country. Right. I mean, and so for the next, I understand, for the next 10 years, you were in the U.S. Army?
That's right. So at a West Point, you owe 5 years. That's the commitment that every graduate owes. I thought I would do 5 and then move on to who knows what. But I had the extreme benefit and luxury of working for some very, very amazing people and leaders in some very cool locations of the world. And 5 years turned into 10. Very quickly. So, I went from my first assignment in Belgium, where I was able to continue playing, which was awesome. Then to Germany as a general's aide, which was an amazing experience. And then to Schweinfurt, Germany, where I was again out of retirement and played in the German Oberliga, which was pretty cool. Then a year in Afghanistan, a couple years in South Korea, and then ended my last couple of years teaching at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona Beach. So, it took me around the world, saw a lot of places, met a lot of people that I otherwise wouldn't have. And again, I wouldn't trade those 10 years for anything.
This is the 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show, and I'm sure in many of those different stints that you had, as well as working for generals and being on the hockey team at West Point, having great coaches, you've learned a few things about leadership that I'm sure are helping you right now as the COO of the Panthers. What are some of those different traits or lessons that you've learned over the years that are helping you today?
Yeah, it's such a good question. And I get it all the time. And really everything that I know and have learned and have developed about leadership is how much you care for people and show genuine care. So you could be the smartest person in the room. That's always helpful. Most leaders are smart. But if you don't care for people and gain that trust, it's going to be a tough road for you. And not saying you can't do it. There's other ways to lead people, but when people know that you care for them, they're going to put an extra effort in. When they trust you, when they know that you're going to lead them to the right place, they'll give that extra effort. And, whether that was through hockey or my time in the military, or, what I've been able to parlay into, my civilian career here, it's all true about how much you care for people. It really makes a difference.
So, you talk about people. I mean, maybe share a little bit about your team today at the Panthers that are your direct reports that work with you across all the different projects that you're working on. I mean, there's so many things that you oversee. What is it like to have to lead these people and be able to, get them, fired up, and every single day to be able to go out and literally do it again every single night.
Yeah. You've spoke with enough people in this industry that it's definitely a grind, and your evenings and weekends lots of times don't exist. And it becomes a little easier when you figure out that your Mondays are sometimes your Saturdays and your Wednesdays are your Fridays. But it's all about making people understand their little piece of the puzzle. So how does, line cook in concession, section 104, how is he or she influencing it? Well, they're creating a fan experience. They're doing something to create that fan experience and to either add or take away from it. So it's really making sure that people understand how their role influences and impacts the team as a whole. A lot of it too is, in the military and hockey the words leading by example. It was pretty easy. You work a little harder. You're doing whatever, you're putting in extra time. I sometimes wondered how that would translate into a civilian outside world job. And for here, it's just realizing that leadership presence matters. That when you have people that are working on the weekends and evenings, they appreciate seeing you. I cannot be doing anything. A lot of times I'm not. But when they see you there with them, taking time out of your day and your weekend and your evening to make sure that everything's going straight, everything's going smooth, and that you care, that matters.
I mean, you also have, it's been very interesting, I'm sure, to, have the opportunity to work for such an amazing owner like Vinny Viola, right? I mean, like someone like that and the family that, expect, greatness. They want, they want everything to, at the highest of levels. And that must be amazing to be able to work in an organization where it's expected to be great.
Yep. You nailed it there. I mean, it really starts with the family and Vinny and Teresa, again, their expectations of what excellence is and going the extra mile. And Vinny uses the word physicalize. So if you're given a mission, we lean into the military a little bit. Matt, Vinny's a West Pointer, and Matt, our CEO, is a West Pointer. And
there's a few people in the military at the Panthers, right?
I like to think I got the job on my own merit, but it didn't hurt that I was a West Pointer. But it's really about, you're given a mission, go execute it and physicalize on it, and don't hem and haw and talk about it. Just make things happen. And if you fail, then fail fast and fix it. And Vinny has, and the family have given us so much trust and empowered us to really do our jobs and really make a difference here. Amazing ownership group.
Yeah, when you look at all the change, all this innovation that's now coming to the world of sports, how does that fit into your role as COO? What are some of the things that you're looking at that are new and different, or trying to push the limits in your part of the organization?
Yeah, I look at some of the examples that we've done. You're always trying, on the food and beverage piece, you're always trying to eliminate lines. How do you get people to not stand in a line? And, things that we've used with our app and mobile ordering and self-serve kiosks. And we just implemented, in partnership with Verizon and iFi, 2 autonomous stores. So, these are becoming very common in arenas and stadiums where, you scan your app or your credit card and a gate opens and you walk in. and cameras are following you around and figuring out what you're picking out. And then you just walk, out and it charges you. I think that's a very innovative solution to help reduce lines and add to the experience. There's solutions out there to battle ingress and biometrics to get people in the arena faster, and also for security measures as well. So how do you identify people that maybe shouldn't be there? I think that the world, is the age that we're in with AI, is going to become extremely more important, whether that's with business analytics and sales. And then you start looking at, AR and VR technologies of how do people use their phone, which they're always connected to. And that's another piece, is making sure that our technology, our basic infrastructure is good in the arena so people can do things in the arena while they're there and add to their experience, putting your phone up to the player and getting some cool stats right off the bat. We see these things when we're watching on TV, but when you're in there live, some people may want to see it. Sports betting real time is going to have an impact on all of it. So, how do we implement these technologies? Again, I think that they're all surrounding, fan experience and giving people something that they may not even know that they wanted.
Yeah, well, we certainly agree on all my partners and I here at 76 Capital. I mean, when it comes to all those things that you just mentioned, whether those are a lot of the new types of companies that we have investments in that we believe are really the ways to really enhance your overall experience, and completely agree with what you're saying on about all of this. When you kind of look back at your career so far, I mean, you've had a really interesting and exciting career, as you said, from the military to, prior to this with Aquilini, with the, then also the, doing things with the Canucks. I mean, there's just been so many interesting things that you've done. What are some of the things that you kind of look back on and say, that was really fun, or that was an amazing success that I had?
Gosh, you know what? The military, that's its own piece, obviously near and dear to my heart. Again, you've been able to see things around the world that most people don't get to do. So I'll keep it to post military and the Aquilini family, who really I was nobody. I was trying to get a job in Vancouver because that's where my parents lived, and I knew I was getting out of the Army, moving back there. And the Aquilini family gave me an opportunity. And got my foot in the door first, overseeing technology for their portfolio of businesses, from the arena and team and hotels and restaurants, and really was a really good introduction to the real world for me. If I had to pick, I guess, one of the, it was really formative and really cut my teeth in running a business. It had to have been running the Pizza Huts so the Aquilinis own all the Pizza Huts in British Columbia. And at that time, when I took that role over, we acquired 12 Dairy Queens. So that, the business grew to 55 Pizza Huts and 12 Dairy Queens. And then COVID happened, which was a hard time for everyone, and the hospitality industry particularly got hit very hard. And people looking for, really takeout food, and no surprise, the pizza industry skyrocketed. So, while people were forced in their homes, me and my team, my small little team, were traveling around the province, making sure that everything was safe. That was primary, was making sure our workers and our staffs and the food that was being put out was safe. That was first and foremost. But I mean, we were opening stores during COVID, revenues obviously skyrocketed. It was a very interesting, very fun, very rewarding time. That, and just odd, I never thought I'd be running a pizza business. So, if I look back on my career thus far, that couple years with, PH restaurants, probably takes the cake.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we start to wind down our show here on our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show. And Bryce, it's been amazing having you on this show. I mean, you have such an interesting perspective on the world of hospitality, the F&B side of it, being part of the, within the sports world, your military career. It's really fascinating. I mean, and so when you talk with young people or just anybody who says, wow, like the sports world, the hospitality world, I gotta get into this. Like, what kind of advice would you give them to try to break in and to someday, be in a seat like yours at a major, professional sports team?
Yeah, it's a question that we get a lot of. A lot of people think it's sexy and cool, the sports industry, and it is. I love it. It's not for everyone. I preface those conversations with that as well. Given the time investment that it takes. My advice to someone graduating college is get that internship right away. I talk about my experience. I am the exception to the rule, where I was able to come in my first job in the industry in a senior role. That's not the norm. Most people start out selling tickets, account executives and selling sponsorship, and very much so take that first rule, get your foot in the door, prove yourself, create a reputation of yourself being hardworking, being a team player, and willing to go the extra mile, and you'll get noticed for sure. If you have a background in marketing, you don't necessarily have to start in marketing, but make sure after your foot's in the door that you let it know that, hey, if there's a job in marketing, let me get after that. Continuing education is huge. Making sure that if you have time, and the capacity to get certifications, if you have a technical skill, or even going to grad school at night to get an MBA. All these things matter. And to me, it may not be about the education, but it shows that you're willing to better yourself. I think that's the story it tells me.
I completely agree. And again, just really appreciate you taking the time. I mean, and I hope the next time we talk or see each other, maybe you'll be holding that Stanley Cup. That would be amazing. So I wish you and the whole Panthers organization a lot of luck. And thank you again for joining us on our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show.
Thanks for having me, Wayne. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.